Sterling Holmes with Stacking the Box and Fansided, joined now by two-time Super Bowl champion, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, one of the greatest safeties of all time, Troy Polamalu. Troy, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you, Sterling. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know we were laughing a little bit earlier. You're in San Diego where it's nice and warm as I'm looking outside, about 6 inches of snow. But the taste of Super Bowl, the taste of Super Bowl commercial, which is coming out during the Super Bowl. The commercial unites NFL football legends Rob Gronkowski, Marshawn Lynch, yourself, as you rediscover the taste of victory, this time with a chip-inspired twist. Can you talk about your just partnership with Frito-Lay and a little bit about this commercial?
Well, I think what's funny is that the commercial actually describes it perfectly. Because you do have the taste, but then as soon as you have the crunch, you have the confetti. So it's a celebration. So I think that's one thing that the brand Frito-Lay's and being part of the Super Bowl, just the nostalgia that brings, the happy memories that brings, and to me, it actually brings up even better memories as a kid growing up and always having Lay's potato chips as part of a sandwich or whatnot. So it's been great to also team up with Rob and Marshawn. Those guys are great characters, man.
I would be remiss if I didn't stick with the commercial theme for just one more. Patrick Mahomes, as I sit here in Kansas City, obviously he is the talk of the town. But you did a commercial with him in the past. Did you have a chance to actually be on set with him, your interactions with him, and just your overall thoughts on the two-time Super Bowl champion?
So what's actually really cool is I met him even in his rookie year before he started getting. I mean, he had a lot of rookie success, but before he won Super Bowls and whatnot. So it's been cool to be able to like see him every year, every offseason. We get together to shoot these commercials, and he's never changed the whole time. He's such a I mean, I can never stop talking good about him, to be honest with you, to anybody that asks me about him. So he's amazing. He's everything that what you see is what you get. He's never changed from the moment I met him his rookie year to what he's become now.
Just, I have to ask because this was, for me growing up, one of the coolest things was you timing up the snap and jumping over the line. Obviously, I'm sure you're asked about this all the time, but going back to the first time you did it, was that something that you had a good feel for? Did one of your coaches tell you? What was the thought process when you go, I am going to time this up?
What's funny about it is I didn't think about it. Sometimes I just found myself just like going and doing it. And that's the best way that I can explain it, because I'll be very honest. When I thought about it, that's when I jumped off sides. It's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Then that's when I would jump off sides. So sometimes I would just and that's where to me is where I started to understand myself as a player. It's like I had to really, really overly prepare so that I could just be free and let it flow out there and just trust my instincts rather than be like, oh, this is plays coming. Just do that. He's going to do this and do this. And you start overthinking things. And that's when you make that mistake rather than just just immersing yourself in preparation, making sure that all your I's and T's are dotted and whatnot. So that's what my process was.
When you would get back to the sideline, especially the first time, what was the reaction from your coach? Because again, if they don't know that's coming, you time it up that perfectly. He's probably just sitting there, just sweating bullets, going, "How was that not offside? What was that reaction like?"
What's funny is we would always watch film together as a team. We would skip over those. Because the moment he's watching me skip over, I'm like, oh, I wanted to watch that play.
They don't want anyone getting any ideas. They're sitting there going, no, you did it. We're done. We're done.
No, as soon as I see something, I'm going, oh, I wanted to. No, here's how great of a coach is. To be very frank with you, he knew I wanted to stroke my ego. He wouldn't get me into me. I'm like, oh, I want to see that play. Like, nope, next play.
I know Mike Tomlin was your coach for a good chunk of your career there. What makes him so good? What makes him stand out? Just his perpetual ability to seemingly get the best out of his teams. I mean, you look at them this year, Steelers 10-7, they're in the playoffs, but you look at that roster and a lot of people probably don't have them in the playoffs yet. There they are yet again. What makes Mike Tomlin so special?
You know, he's a man of integrity. I think that's important. I think he holds up everybody accountable. I think he has a really cool saying. He says, I don't treat everybody the same, but I treat them fairly. Because you with a locker room full of different cultures, people of different religions, people, different levels of their career, I felt like he was able to really connect with players on a more human level, including the fact that he's an amazing tactician and the way that he sees the game from a tactical, secondary offense and all that sort of thing. So to me, he's just a really well-rounded individual, well-rounded coach. That's awesome. I mean, I've had him, I've had Bill Cowher, I've had Pete Carroll, had two Hall of Fame coaches. He's no doubt just as good as the other two.
Yeah, I mean, think of that. He's going to most likely end up in the Hall of Fame. Those three guys, not a bad group to have helping lead your guys' teams. How much of a difference is it for guys who grow up in warm climates, typically play in warm climates, and then they're forced to play in the cold? For example, Dolphins traveling to Kansas City, it is going to be probably in the negatives. Is it overblown, that talk? Because, for example, Tua Tagovailoa, right? Hawaii to Alabama, and then now Miami, right? That's warm weather all across the board. Is there actually a massive difference there for those guys, or is it kind of suck for everyone?
So what's really funny is I understand the mind frame of an athlete, but I'm a retired softie right now. I was in Columbus, Ohio last week, and I walk out of the airport and I was like, it's got to be 11 degrees out here. And my friend was like, no, it's 39 degrees. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I could not believe that, because to me, sometimes this is what makes like a Midwesterner like, the grit. You gotta wake up, you gotta, scrape, your windshield off with your credit card and your driver's license and all this sort of stuff. When I'm living in San Diego and I don't have to do that now. There's just a certain grit, icing your driveway and these sort of things. So I'll say this, in Pittsburgh, I loved it. We wore it. I wanted it to be miserable. And just as a defensive player, like the more miserable you can make it, to me, that's where I felt that or as a defense thrived, is the more miserable it was, the more it was better for the defense. So I think it's to an advantage, but it depends on what kind of team you have. If you are the greatest show on turf, you know what I mean? It's not to your advantage. So
sure.
What I loved about Ben, including like Patrick, is they're great bad weather quarterbacks. So it does not matter the conditions. So to me, that's where you do worry about, like, oh man, there's these guys coming from San Diego, coming from Miami, or wherever these places. And there is a different lifestyle that's associated with, waking up and it's 85 degrees. And I love it, unfortunately. Yeah. I love
it. Very jealous when you're talking about scraping off your car. I'm sitting here going, oh, yeah, that's this morning. I want to stick with the Chiefs theme for just one more question as far as the Chiefs side of things here. And hopefully this is not bad blood by any means. But is it true that against the Chiefs, Larry Johnson pulled you down by the hair in order to tackle you, and then afterwards you put an insurance policy out on your hair?
Wow, that's incredible. That's really incredible. Yeah, that's so true. But the order of events and the story of how you put it together is completely false.
Okay, then how to happen?
So what did happen is Larry Fitzgerald did tackle me about my hair. But as part of the campaign for Head and Shoulders, they did insure my hair as part of the campaign. That's absolutely. But
that is amazing.
Together, hey, there we go, man. That's a great story. But
that's just the rumblings on the internet right there. Try to find something unique. Oh, that's great. As far as your illustrious career, you have so many everything from sacks to interceptions to forcing a fumble. So I think you're pretty qualified to answer this one. What's the best experience of the three? Picking a quarterback off, sacking a quarterback, forcing a fumble. What was more fun for you?
I would say almost two, they're equal. So I would say one is interceptions, of course. The game's always about the ball, and you can never score without it. You can't win without it. So that's first and foremost. Aside from the fact that when you do get interceptions, you're telling the quarterback and the offensive coordinator that you're smarter than them. So that to me is also, and that you've got, and that there's a little hair trigger in you that if you test me again, I'm going to do it again. You know what I mean? So like there is some psychological play to that. But also, there's nothing better than getting a quarterback sack and having your whole entire team on the other side of the line of scrimmage celebrating in their backfield. That psychologically is killer to the entire offense. So to me, they're almost equally, but obviously the ball's more important. But both of them have a multi-dimensional, impact.
Troy, before I let you go, one more time, can you talk about the partnership with Frito-Lay, your favorite snack of theirs, and your pick for Super Bowl champion?
So my favorite snacks, Cool Ranch Doritos. I'd be surprised it's not everybody's favorite snack. I think it should be made into a steak seasoning sauce, put on seeds, we put on shrimp.
Yeah, now we're talking.
There's nothing about that. But we also have a Frito-Lay chip strip we'll be there during Super Bowl week in Vegas as well. So excited to be part of this partnership with Rob and Marshawn.
And Super Bowl champion, who do you got? I know you tried ducking that one. I know
it's tough
for you.
For the Steelers, of course, I'm always rooting for the Steelers. I'm always rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick as well. So between those two, I hope the best wins. So
two-time Super Bowl champion, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Troy Polamalu. Troy, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, man.